Hi, I am on here to let you know that you need to watch the video all the way through and take notes. I did have one section where I made a mistake, and so I show you the correct way at the very end of the video. It relates to putting the envelope with the clear window, attaching it to the book. So I show you at the end. I guess I could show you right now too. When I tell you to glue the back here, you're actually going to glue the front where there's the part facing the envelope and glue it to the top of this envelope so that it stays open. So watch it all the way through, take notes. We all, we make mistakes every once in a while, but I hope you enjoy the video. I think these are cute. I think they'd be good gifts. So, all right, stay tuned. Here comes the video. Hi, this is Kim, and I am going to be doing the tutorial for the writing journal that I made about a week ago. I'm going to show you some of the basic supplies that I use just so you have an idea, and then I'm going to actually make the little journal booklet first. So if you didn't see the walkthrough, it's just a small writing journal that has a small flap on the right. This is an envelope window. There's a pocket in here. And then there's a pocket here. I made a pocket here for photos. These are two small envelopes that are open that you can put stuff in. And the same here. And then when it opens, I made two long pockets. And then there's the back. So it's pretty easy because a lot of it's pre-made. So I'm using envelopes. So like I said, I'm going to start with this. This actually measures 8 3/4 tall, and I'm going to fold it in half. The paper is 11 inches long, and I'm going to score it 5.5. So that's how I'm going to get started. This is the Tyvek envelope that you'll use for the base. I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of shiny. It has some fibers in it, and it's like really super hard to rip, like it doesn't rip. This is a 9 by 12 envelope. I'll be using this envelope that already has a window in it. This is 6 by 9. And then I had two envelopes that are longer and they already have a lining inside. These are 4 1/4 by almost 9. It looks like 8 7/8. So I have two of those. So those are some of the basics. For the journal, I already had some tea-dyed paper. This is tea-dyed paper I purchased. I didn't make it. I don't have the ability, the knowledge on how to do these. They turn out beautiful. So I used one that's regular tea-dyed. Here's one of the pattern ones. Here's another tea-dyed one that has a little bit of a pattern. There's this one, regular, and then that one. So what I'm going to do is take all of these are 8.5 by 11, and I'm going to score all of them in half at 5.5. I also then have this paper I'm going to use for the cover, and this is 11 inches long by 8 3/4. So we're going to score this in half at 5.5, and all of these we're going to score in half at 5.5 to make our booklet. Okay, so let me get my scoring tool. I have many to choose from. Which one do I want? It's this one. All right, so 5.5. And I'm just going to set these to the side as I score them. This paper is so pretty. The lady who does this is so talented. I mean, this is beautiful, I think. Just beautiful. I know that it's supposed to be easy to do, like the basic tea dyeing or coffee dyeing, but it's so time consuming for me that I just don't care for doing it. So I have 3 of the regular sheets and 3 of these pretty pattern type sheets. So I have a total of 6 that will fold in half. I don't want to do it too firm because it's a little bit brittle, more brittle paper being as it's been dyed. So what we're going to do then is take each piece and score it, burnish it separately. And when I fold it, I do want to make sure that the two sides, that everything lines up. Sometimes it gets off a little bit, and then I'm going to burnish it. So we're going to do that to all 6 pieces. And this one's kind of pretty. This one, I think Tammy Merrill did some for me a while ago, so that was nice because, like I said, it's time consuming. So she volunteered and I was like, yes, thank you. I don't know what I did to deserve it, but I appreciate it. So if anybody wants to dye some paper for me, I'm always on the hunt for coffee dyed paper, especially with stuff like this. It's got a pattern, and vintage pictures. So if you ever find some, or you can shoot me in the right direction, that would be much appreciated. All right. So I thought this paper was perfect. I'm going to be using the Victorian teacups again, just like on my original one. You can get that paper at Country Craft Creations, and that's the only place you can get it. And now I'm going to fold the cover. Look at how pretty that is on the inside. And I barely got it so that it had the word have showing all the way. So what I did was when I took an inch off, I made sure I took the inch off of this side so you could see most of this saying. So now you're going to layer your papers one inside the other. So I go every other one. Okay. And because there's only 6 pieces, it should line up pretty well on the edge here. And it should, we have just a little bit of overhang on here. That doesn't bother me. If it was much more than that, it would bother me, but I don't mind a little bit coming off the side. Okay. So what I need to do now is stitch this so that the pages stay in. And so I just use this awl. I think that's what you call it. Ugh, I can't get it out of the box. There we go. So this is what I use to poke a hole. And I'm going to try and find the center. So remember, my outside cover is a little bit bigger than the inside. So I want to make sure I center them. And before I start punching holes, I do want to make sure I use some clips to keep my paper from moving. And make sure it's lined up. So you just need a couple, you might put one or two on the top also, just to make sure we get it in the right spot. Okay. All right, so the halfway mark on the paper would be 4 1/4 because it's 8 1/2 long. So I'm just going to take my ruler and put a really light pencil mark so I can see where the 4 1/4 mark should be. Oops. Or the 4 1/4 hole. And then I'm going to go up about 1 1/4 inches. Okay, so those are my 3 holes that I'm going to make. And so then using this, I'm going to push it right there where I made my mark. And I'm going to push it all the way through so it comes out the other side. There's one. There's 2. And 3. Okay. So now I'm going to use, I have these blunt large eyelet needles, and I'm going to use one of those. And I'm using this to combine the paper. It's kind of feels like fishing line or dental floss. I don't really know what it's made of. So we're going to want to go about the 3 lengths. 1, 2, 3, just to be sure. And I'll thread this. It's kind of a flat ribbon. I mean, this has like a flat, it's not perfectly round like what you're probably used to. Okay, so I am going to start by going out the center hole, and I'm going to leave a tail inside, and I need it long enough so that I can tie it with another piece. Okay, so I'm going to leave it about like that. Then I'm going to bring this up through the bottom, and you do want to keep it kind of firm or taut. Okay, down the center again, so now this is where I want to make sure I'm tightening it up as I go. Bring it up through the top hole now. I probably used more than I needed to. I'm just going to cross over and tuck the piece underneath. I cut way longer than I needed to. Underneath the other piece so that we can tie this. And I'm just going to tie it in a bow. Well, first I'll probably tie it in a knot and then a bow. So here's my knot first, and now I'll just tie it in a bow. And I kind of like the look of the bow, so I'll leave that. And cut off the excess. And then you can take off your pin, your clothespins or whatever you use to keep it from moving. And I will do the decorating later. It doesn't feel that tight. I'll try it again. Oh, I already tied it in a knot. Oh well. It'll do the trick. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of burnish that again. Make sure it's as flat as it can go. And that's all you have to do for the booklet. Like I said, I'll go back and decorate it, but that's our booklet. You don't want too many pages because then it doesn't lay nice and even on the edge here. So I'm going to take that and put it off to the side. Now I'm going to work, oh, I gotta put this away before I lose it. I'll work with the folding of the Tyvek envelope. So, oh, this has a perforation here. I don't know if I like that. I'm going to go ahead and cut off the flap. The first time I made it, I did not, and it didn't have big enough gussets, so I ended up cutting it off afterwards. It's going to be much easier to do it right now before it gets decorated. I'm just going to go right across there. I'm going to hold on to this and not get rid of it because it's going to help me with my flap to close it. I'm going to kind of use this to guide. I'll put the other paper on top of it so I kind of know the length that I need. So then all we're going to do is fold this in half. Let me double check that I did that right. Yep. So now just fold this in half. This side is still closed. I did not open it, so it's sealed shut. And let's go ahead and burnish that. Okay. So I'm going to be attaching this envelope right here. Now you want to make sure that this will fold. Now see, mine's off a little bit, so I'm going to have to be careful. Let's see, maybe I want to make sure that this will fit. I have a little bit of wiggle room, so I'm going to move my score just a little bit off to the side here so that this side is actually a little bit shorter, but not much. I'm just moving it about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. And then I'll try that. I think that should probably take care of the problem for my size envelope. So I got to check two things. I got to make sure that it's large enough to hold this booklet, and it is. And I need to make sure that it will close. It's still pretty close. I wonder why this envelope, I used a different brand of envelope before. Maybe that's why. It's gonna be really tight, but it should work. Yep, we'll make it work. Okay, so actually, I think what would be easiest is to attach it. Like I said, this envelope looks a little bit different. We're going to end up attaching it by putting it to the inside, like so. So I want to do my decorating of this first because it'll be easier. So after I've folded this, let's move that off to the side. So I need two pieces of pattern paper that are 7/8 inches wide and about 8 7/8 inches long, and I need two that are, this one's a little shorter than 1 inch, so I'm going to need this one to be about 7/8 of an inch to 3/4 to 7/8. It's not real even. And then this side does look like one. Yep. So my envelope's kind of wonky, so measure the width and the length, and I need 4, 2 of the long ones, 2 of the short ones. So let me get those ready with the paper I want to use, and I'll show you how to do the corners. The paper I'm going to use on the inside that you can see through the envelope is this one. I'm actually going to put that one on first. This measures 5 3/4 by 8 1/2, and I don't need to ink the edges. And when you put this in the envelope on the inside, you want to make sure that it goes, don't push it all the way in, take it to the crease so that it goes out to that fold, so that when you turn your page and open it, you can see a little decorative paper right here. So I guess you could ink that one side. So I'll do that real quick so that when you open it, all you'll see is this little bit on this side. Now, I'm not going to put glue on until it's inside the envelope so that I don't make a dumb mistake and get ink all over. So it's got to go this way. And you're only going to put glue on the back, obviously. Okay, so let me get it to where it needs to be, and then I'll start gluing. And you don't have to have glue it'll stay in there. You don't have to smother it with glue. It needs to come down just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to lift this envelope part up, and I'll just start putting some glue on the inside there. I'm working on the back. Watch, my glue won't. Nope, I knew that would happen. It's time to refill this thing too. Okay, so I just want to make sure I get some here and there. Like I said, it's not really going to go anywhere. Okay. And go ahead and burnish that so that it does have a good stick. Make sure you don't put any glue on that one, obviously at the very, like that 1/4 to 1/2 inch on the edge here. All right, so this will be attached to the book like this. So my flap is on the right. What I'm going to do, some people just overlap their papers like this. I like an angled corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place one piece on top of the other, like so. And then I'm going to cut it at the diagonal. So from one corner to the opposite here. So you'll see that these two will now meet like so. So I'm going to do that on all 4 corners. So this one I'll put up here at the top. I'm going to line them up and I'm going to cut at the diagonal. So there we go, that one. Now the side piece on the other side. And then we'll have to go back and ink the part. I already inked it, except for I'll have to go back on the parts that I just cut. Oh, that one wasn't even. And one more down here at the bottom. One on top of the other, line it up real good, and slice. So now you can see that you kind of want to do a dry fit first, so you kind of know where you're going to be gluing it so that it lines up nice. Okay, and everything lines up perfectly. All right, so now I'm just going to glue that down and then we'll attach that to the book. Front's done. The back, we'll end up putting pattern paper on this part right here, but we're now going to put glue on the closure of the envelope, and we're going to slide it inside here. And we want to be able to use this as a pocket. So you either glue the inside and actually let's do the outside. Let's glue this part so that this is open. That'll be easier so that things don't get caught on it. So let's put glue on the outside here on the closure. Putting it almost to the fold. Okay. And now we want to slide it in. Push it all the way up and make sure it lines up, and then you press down. Okay. You know what? I don't like that. I'm going to take this off actually. I wanted it to open over here. I should have glued the top part to the other side. Ugh. So because I want, let me think about this. Okay, so if you are making this and watching it through first, instead of gluing the outside of that envelope, we should have gone ahead and glued the inside of the flap and then placed it in the insert, but pushed it to the top. So instead of gluing it to the bottom piece, it would have attached to the top piece. I hope that makes sense. My envelopes happen to have a tear apart line right here, so that now you'll be able to see that this is indeed a pocket. So I'm going to use that to save myself. And then what I'll do is I'll still continue to adhere this envelope on this side and this envelope on this side, but I'll just have to put it right up against this side, this piece. And I'm going to go ahead and cover this with a little something. You know what I'm going to do? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to cover, let's see, if I put the paper in that I'm going to use, let me show you what I'm talking about. if I put the paper in that I'm going to put on this top part, but I put it under here first, I can draw the line so I know where to cut it, and then you'll be able to see this. That's what I'm going to do. Actually, yeah, then I can trim that away. All right, so let me get the paper ready to do this. I'm sorry, you guys. Okay, this is called learning from your mistakes. I cut off the envelope, and I'm going to have to, because we have to have this right side open so we can put the flap on and have it as our closure. So what I did was I just cut off that piece. Now you won't have to do this if you do it, if you watch the video all the way through, because what you're going to do is you're going to glue the envelope to the top, not to the bottom like I did. So I had to make a hinge, and so it's 2 inches, and I'm going to place, and it's 8 and I was going to say 7/8, but it's closer to 15/16, and I'm going to glue that in here, the first 1 inch. Get over there. Okay, like so. And then I'm going to glue the other hinge like that on the back of this envelope. So now I'll have that opening. And being as I already took out that little bit of envelope, you'll now see that it's a pocket because that'll be down there. Oh my gosh, one of those days, but it'll work. I made it work. I'm not wasting anything. So I will try and remember to put a note on the video so you guys don't make the same mistake that I made. Some of you might have been saying while you're watching, no, that's not how you do it. Okay. I need to put in a hinge. Okay, and I'm going to burnish that. So that it stays down. And so it's still open here. It can still be a pocket. Okay. And now I'm going to attach my envelope this side, not the side that opens, and I'll attach that right there on top of it so that it will open like so. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, let me smother this with glue. That took me a second to figure that out. You know how when you make a mistake, you're like, oh, so mad at yourself? Yeah, that was one of those times. No, I still screwed up. Okay, serious people. Oh my gosh, my brain is not thinking. I sure hope you don't have the issues that I'm having, because now it's still closed again. So I'm just going to have to put the closure, glue it on the back here, and bring it up and around. This was ridiculous. I apologize. If I knew how to edit the video, I would edit it, but I don't know how. So what you're going to do is do it right the first time, and you won't have to deal with any of this stuff. It'll be done. Ay, ay, ay. But now at least I have a pocket on the inside. Okay, so now I'm going to put the envelopes down like so, and like so. Okay, now this one I'm going to have to be careful. So right here. Okay, and I am going to be using washi tape. Yep, that's going to work. Oh, thank goodness. Okay, so I am going to be using washi tape, but I do want to put some paper here real quick because I don't like that being white. Okay, so you are going to want to cover your, I would think you would want to cover the front of your envelopes, or the back, I guess you would call it, with your pattern paper before we do the next step. However, do not put pattern paper on this side yet. So to do the flap, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my paper 1/8 of an inch smaller, and then I'm going to place it under here, and I will draw. Actually, I can just do it like this. I'll do it for you on camera so you can see. I'm just going to take my pencil and I'm going to draw around this flap, and then I'm going to cut inside of the line, and that should fit the flap perfectly. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and cover the bottom. I will go ahead and measure my envelope from the top, not this middle part, and it's going to be, mine will be about 4 1/8 inches long, and then when I attach it I just won't put glue behind the paper, so I'll show you that on camera too. But for the envelope, I'm not going to cover the inside because it's got that white liner. I just put the paper underneath, drew around it, and now I'm going to cut it out. To put the glue, this was for my envelope, it measured, I cut it 4 1/8 by 8 3/4, and I already inked the edges. Now I don't want to glue the paper on the back so that it closes this envelope. I've had enough issues with closing envelopes. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to put glue on the outside edge, and then I'm going to draw myself a line so I don't go past this right here, but I am going to put it up to the top, do the bottom, top again, okay, and so now I'm going to put glue along this edge and this edge so that the paper doesn't come up there. Okay. All right. And just lay that down. And burnish. Okay, like I said, I'm not doing the inside of my envelope. You can if you want, if you don't have a lining on yours. Okay, so now we're going to attach these two envelopes. And if I had whiter washi tape, I would use whiter washi tape, but I don't. So I have to use the thin. So one is going to be placed here right up against this opening. So we're going to put washi tape here, and it will attach onto the envelope base. And this one we're going to attach here. So that means I need to put washi tape here. And we want it to, we're only going to put half of it on the envelope, the other half on the base. So I will have to, I also use glue. I'm going to lay this down right here, and I'm going to, I'll put a bead of glue right here, and then just lay the washi tape down, and then I'll cut it. Okay, so I just want half, so I'll do it like so. Okay, so I'm just going to put a thin line of glue, and I'm going to turn this sideways because it's easier, and just half on, half off. And let's take our scissors. Our scissors would be, there they are. Okay, grab your book, make sure it's the right direction, yeah. So now I'm going to put glue here, and then I'm going to place it down so that it will fold I'll just put it right here. Glue on the washi, because washi doesn't stick really, I don't think. And because this is like a writing junk journal, it's okay to have the mixture of mediums and colors. All right. And I want it to go all the way to the crease. And burnish that down real good. And then this will be covered with paper so it won't come up. Both sides will. It's just, instead of using just regular hinge or whatever, I like the color of the washi tape, so that's the only reason for it. Okay, and then we'll cover the back and this so that you won't see them. Now this one is going to go here. So again, I'm going to put washi tape on the bottom here, just a thin line of glue first. Let me get my washi tape ready. Okay. And half on, half off. Let's put glue now on this side. I'm going to turn this so it's, I work better with that on the right. Just going to kind of fold it back. And burnish. Oh, that's nice. I just ripped it. I'm telling you what, this has not been my project. Hoo hoo hoo. It'll be alright, I'll cover it with paper. Good Lord. And I'll flip it back over and burnish. Okay, the only other thing, I mean besides the decorating and putting the paper on, is we have to attach our booklet here, and we go all the way to the edge, and then we want it to flip out. Now I thought it would be kind of cool to use fabric, so I got some fabric, and you use it just like a regular hinge. It's just that it's fabric instead, because I figured you'd be opening and closing it quite a bit, and so I thought this would be easiest. That pink's pretty good. Alright, so let me cut. I'm going to probably go over 1 inch and at least 1 inch. So cut a 2-inch piece fabric, about 2 inches, give or take, and then the length of your book. And so our book, I believe, was 8.5. Nope, 8 3/4. Okay, so 8 3/4 by about 2-inch strip. Alright, I am just going to glue about 1 inch onto the back of the book, like so, and then I will glue, just like we did with the washi tape, I'll put glue on the other side and glue it onto the envelope base so that you have a very durable hinge. Okay, so like I said, about 1 inch of fabric over on the book. Alright, there we go. And I'm going to be generous with the glue. And just like paper, we'll burnish it and get it nice and flat and spread the glue. Okay, I'm going to turn it sideways so it's easier for me to see. And I'll have to trim, I think, a little bit off the bottom. We want to give that a chance to dry. Have just a little bit of excess right there. Okay, and I want to make sure I got glue along the edge, so I'm just going to lift it up a little bit and go through with, make sure I got the edge. This one's already down. Okay. And now get your book, and we're going to put the glue on the back of the fabric and attach it right to the very edge. Now you're going to want to center it top and bottom because there is a little bit of size difference. And then when you open it, there's that fabric, but it will be covered on this side mainly with paper, but you'll still see it on the back of the booklet. Okay, so now let's just put glue on the back and glue it down to our booklet. We are ready for the flap. I did some decorating off camera just because everybody decorates their own way. Some people like a 1/8 measurement difference from the base. Some people like a 1/4. Everybody folded their envelope a little bit different. So what I'm going to do now is the closure, and I am going to use fabric. Now, whether you did the envelope correctly or not, you still need a gusset on your closure. And so what I'm going to do is first I'm going to ink. I am doing 2 of these just so that it's durable. That's 2 of them at 2.5 by 9. And I will do this side. I'm only inking it on 3 sides because I'm going to end up cutting it at an angle. Let me show you what I did with the other one. I'll probably do something a little bit different with this closure. But you can see I angled it and then I put a die cut. So I'll do something similar. I'll have some sort of die cut there. But you'll see the gusset, so you're going to see the fabric, which is okay with me. It's a form of a junk journal. So I'm going to glue 2 pieces of paper together for durability, and the fabric will be in between the 2, like that. Okay, this is the one I'm going to have on top. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue about 1 inch wide. Okay, and then I'm going to lay the strip of fabric and I need to give that a chance to dry a little bit because I'm going to put the other piece on top, so I guess it doesn't really matter. So now I will glue this one right on top of that other piece of paper because they're the same measurement. I thought by doing a prototype of this I would be able to do a quick tutorial, but once I screwed up it totally changed things. I am going to add to the end of the video the correct way to adhere the flap the right way instead of the wrong way, so that might make it a little bit easier for you guys. All right. Just burnishing that in between the fabric in between the 2. So now I need to decide how I'm going to angle this. So I'm going to get my ruler and my pencil and kind of eyeball what I like. So I think about 1.5. I'll put a tick mark. 1.5 from the bottom. I'll put a tick mark. And then over on the bottom, I think I'll just go up 1. And here I'll just do 1. And then I will use my blade and cut at an angle. So I'll line up the 2 tick marks that I made. Okay, now some people would take this and then go to the other side and do that, but I'm just going to do 2 separate ones. Okay, line up my tick marks on the other end. Where'd that little tick mark go? There it is. Okay, now I'm going to ink the edges. Okay, let's get our book. And it doesn't matter, I haven't put pattern paper on the back. And so what I'm going to do is I want my flap to go right to the edge of this book on the front. Okay, so then I have to gauge how much fabric, and I don't want it to be tight, how much I need for a gusset. So I'm going to do mine a little bit loose. And I'm just going to glue it down on the back. I have a lot. I could probably trim this a little bit. And then I'll put paper on top. And that way you're going to have the gusset that you need. Okay? So it's a little bit tighter on this end, but that's okay. So you want the flap at the edge of your book. And then just loosely, so you have room to expand it a little bit if you need to. And then glue that down, and then we'll add the back piece of, I'm not trim that, that's too much. I don't want to have to, and you're not going to see this side anyway because it'll be covered with paper. All right, let me get, okay. Place glue on the actual envelope section. And I'll wrap that up and over. So let me make sure that it's going to work. Yeah. Okay. And now let's choose, I'm going to get rid of some of these extra pieces here. And now I just need to pick out the paper I want on the back. I can finish decorating, and then I'll show you this one when I'm done with this one. This is what I have so far. It's pretty much like the other one. Okay, let me get the back on, and I will come show you how I finished it up. And I'll go back and show you the correct way to do the envelope flap. All right, I want to show you my finished book now for this, the second one here. So this was the spine out of fabric. Put a little nameplate back here. I used the same closure as I did on this one. This one's not as loud, I don't think. This one's kind of busy. This is a wood frame, and I had to use some of my paints and stuff to kind of get it to match better and not be so harsh. I have the word cherish, a butterfly, some trim here, and then this comes all the way off. So then there's that flap that I messed up several times, and I'm going to show you at the end here what we should have done instead. So I did have a teapot die, and over here I just put some trim. So then this opens, and this one has more kid vintage pictures instead of adults. Another nameplate up here, a little pocket down here to hold the picture, and I am going to journal on the back of these. So again, if you know where I can get some, let me know. So then for the opening here, I did butterflies, and then this opens. I had a die with flowers that I thought would look good there. And this side opens, remember, so it's a mirror image. Again, I put the ivy type leaves there. And I have this pocket, another nameplate. Okay, then over here, this time I did still do some fussy cutting, but I made it a little bit taller, the pocket, than the other one. I have another vintage picture. I put some trim on the back of the journal, but that's because I screwed up, so I had to cover up a mistake. I made a lot of mistakes on this one, you guys. I hope the tutorial's not too hard to follow. And then I just put a piece of ephemera here, and then just one more right there, so nothing big. So that is the tutorial. There's a pocket here, remember, you can stick something in there too. Not very thick though at all. And then this closes, and then I kind of have to tuck that a little bit, and then this comes around. Give yourself a little bit of leeway. My fabric's kind of tight right here, and then we're going to tie it back up. And then I'm going to show you what we should have done for the pocket so that it would have saved a whole lot of time and issue for me. And I did it right on my first one. I don't know why I didn't do it right on the second one. I can't get that through. Okay. So there they are. All right, so here's what we should have done. This would be cut off, remember. So I'm going to pretend like it's gone. And here's our opening. When we put this on, I had you put glue on the outside, and then we stuck it down, which we stuck it down on the back piece, and so that wouldn't open. What we should have done was put glue here on the inside of the envelope and stick it to the top piece here. So then that would have been, this would have been left open on the end, so that when we put the flap on, you would glue the flap on here and it would come over. It's not, and then this would still be open then, so you could put something in there because the flap would come around it. So that's, I mean, it's a minor fix, but my glue had already dried, so I couldn't take it off and put it back on the top. So I hope that helps. Sorry about that. I hope you watched the video first before you tried to make it. We all make mistakes, so now you can see how you problem solve when you do make a mistake instead of giving up and throwing it away. All right, you guys, I hope you love this paper as much as I do. It is the Victorian Teacups. This is just a small writing journal. If you have any questions, let me know. All that was made out of envelopes, Tyvek envelopes, and regular envelopes. So thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to making a tag next with the Victorian Teacups.